Ladies and gentlemen, today is one of these days that will go down in the history books. It is absolute carnage right now in the United Kingdom as the entire cabinet, the entire parliament, government is resigning. So you've got all of these experienced politicians who have this is just a few of the resignation letters that I've got here. The most senior politicians right now in the Conservative Party who are in power have resigned, citing it as a no confidence with the leadership, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister.
I'm terribly sorry, we have to stop there. Rishi Sunak has resigned. The Chancellor has resigned. That is it.
That's it.
It's over.
That's it.
This is the end of Boris Johnson's government. Rishi Sunak has resigned. Sajid Javid has resigned. The news is that Boris Johnson's government is collapsing tonight very, very fast.
He's had them defending his decision to promote a sexual predator. Every day, the lines he's forced them to take have been untrue. And now he wants them to go out and say that he simply forgot that his whip was a sexual predator.
I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. We are just going from crisis to crisis to crisis. I'm going to cover a little bit of this and what's actually been said, what's happened, a little bit of the timeline. But then I'm going to tell you what I think is really going on here. I'm amazed that I've been watching all these media channels, YouTube channels, to see if someone will realize what is really going on here. And I'm amazed no one has actually picked this up yet. So I'll talk about that a little later. But let's just look at some of these resignations and what's come in. So we have the second most senior person after Boris Johnson. Unbelievable. Now let me just add it. I'm going to give you a little bit of context as we go through here. So Rishi Sunak, Chancellor of the Exchequer, after he graduated from university, he went and worked at Goldman Sachs. Key thing here, Goldman Sachs. And that's between 2001, 2004. And then between 2004, 2009, he then went and worked at a hedge fund and he became a partner at a hedge fund. And then in 2015, he came into politics, and February of 2020, which is just when the whole COVID thing hit, he became Chancellor of the Exchequer. Right, so just bear that in mind a second. Now let me just read, I'm not going to read his whole letter because it's, there's a lot here, but let me just read a couple of points. He's saying, it's time for me to step down as Chancellor while the world is suffering the economic consequences of the pandemic. The war in Ukraine and other serious challenges is a decision that I've not taken lightly. However, the public rightly expect government to be conducted properly, competently and seriously. I recognise this may be my last ministerial job, but I believe these standards are worth fighting for, and that is why I'm resigning. I actually don't believe this. I think that Rishi Sunak is going to make a play as Prime Minister. That is what I think. I think he's resigning now, but I think he could come back. There aren't really any strong contenders to replace Boris Johnson. So I think this is somewhat of a play. In fact, before we go on to the letter, let me just show you what has actually happened here. So here we've got Boris Johnson, here's Rishi Sunak, and here's Sajid Javid. All right, so let's just look at this then. This is who has resigned just in the last 24 hours. So the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, the most senior person after Boris Johnson, the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid. Now, by the way, let me just tell you one other thing. If we look at the crises that we have right now, what are they? It is money and the economy. They're the two big ones. Health, with the lockdowns and pandemic of the last 2.5 years. Energy, education, and environment. So just remember all of these crises that we have right now. And now let's look at the resignation. So we have Chancellor, economy and money. Health Secretary, health. Education, Solicitor General, legal, that is legal things, all the legal stuff going on right now. Education Minister, Treasury, Justice, Environment, Health and Social Care, Transport, so that's around energy. Transport again, Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. Remember these things because I am going to come back to it. And if you want a more detailed list, you can come on here. Again, you can always read the URL just in the top bar here on all articles. Look at this. These are all the resignations that have happened. Now, what are they saying is the reason for this? I don't believe this reason. They are saying it is because of the claims made against this former Tory MP, Chris Pincher, who's been suspended after allegations that he groped two men. What does these gropes consist of? He touched the inner thigh of one of the men and touched another man on the thigh. So there are 6 claims of inappropriate behavior. And this has all happened at a rapid rate. These are all the resignations that have just happened. Look how many there are. Now let's get back to this letter then from Rishi. He said, our country is facing immense challenges. We both want a low tax, high growth economy and world-class public services. This is just not true. If they wanted low taxes, they would have lowered the taxes. They haven't done this. When was the last time your taxes were lowered? Yes, they want a high growth economy, but the problem is these people who are the experts, they don't understand the economics, or if they do, then they're deliberately manipulating it to make, and it's a theft. Inflation is a theft of people's savings and future purchasing power. And if they want world-class public services, why are they not delivering world-class public services? They're creating all this new currency and sending it around the world, and they're investing into military and weapons. Why are they not investing into these world-class public services? Because they don't want to. It's obvious. What else do you say? But this can only be responsibly delivered if we're prepared to work hard, make sacrifices, and take difficult decisions. Well, who's making these sacrifices? The politicians aren't making any sacrifices. They've got some nice pay rises, haven't they, with all this inflation going on? I firmly believe the public are ready to hear that truth. Our people know that if something is too good to be true, then it's not true. Again, I disagree. The public don't know. The average person now does not know what is going on. They just cannot see through it. Now, there's a statement in here that I don't quite understand, and it says, in preparation for our proposed joint speech on the economy next week, it has become clear to me that our approaches are fundamentally too different. Now, I wonder what is meant by that. I really do. So what did Boris Johnson respond with then? Here's his letter. This is his response. A couple of lines. These efforts, he's basically thanking Rishi, and he said, these efforts prime the economy for a rapid recovery once the immediate danger of the pandemic receded. So what they're talking about here is this furlough and all this other stimulus and currency creation that they did, which has now led to rapid inflation. You cannot beat the system. This has been tried over thousands of years, even back to Roman days, where they tried to alter the currency, take the gold and silver coins, mix it with copper and other metals. It doesn't work. You eventually end up with high inflation, and then eventually, if you push it too far, you have hyperinflation. So this is just simply not true. All the stuff that they did was not good for the economy long term. Short term, yes, it was good. It staved off a recession. People didn't lose their jobs. They didn't lose their homes. We probably would have had a depression. But long term, you cannot fight off the inevitable. And that is, if you create too much new currency, you have a problem. What else? This enabled us to provide support to households worth £37 billion. And we have faced global inflation pressures arising from Putin's brutal invasion of Ukraine. Again, not true. The inflation was already here. Inflation is an expansion of the monetary supply. Now, we've got lots of letters here, but I want to cover a couple of other points. I personally think all of these resignations right now are strategic. Let me tell you why. We've had more than 15 resignations, and again, I've waited as long as possible to record this video. So this video is coming out a couple of hours beforehand. I'm going to record it, edit it like crazy, get it uploaded so you can see it. But as of right now, we've got over 15 resignations, senior people in the government. So they're all saying the same thing. The public wants us to deliver a better service. The Prime Minister has lost the trust of the people. Why would they suddenly all just resign now? This has been going on for a long time. The government lost the trust of the people going back years now, and especially over the last couple of years. And then when everyone was suffering and locked down, they were having parties. These politicians were having parties. Some of the people resigning were at these parties. Can you understand this? They were at the parties and they are getting on their high horse of integrity and saying they are leaving because there's no integrity. Talk about hypocrisy here. The fact is they've just lost 2 by-elections, which if you think, if you're from outside of the UK watching this, that's a little bit like, it's not the same thing, but similar to your midterm elections in the USA and similar. Right, we've got all of this stuff crashing down, and now all of a sudden all of these politicians are jumping ship. It's obvious what's happening. The ship is about to sink. And now remember, back in November time, I think it was 2021, I made that forecast that I said as of the 1st of January, the UK will be into a recession. You're not going to know until the 1st of July because you need 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. And I said it will probably be announced somewhere around the 5th or the 6th of July. What is the date today? It is the 6th of July. What happened yesterday? All of these mass resignations. Now why? Let me go to the shared screen and show you this. This is the real reason I think they're all jumping ship. Look at this. UK economic outlook has deteriorated, the Bank of England warns. And then they go into details of it. But the key thing is this. This is their latest financial stability report that has just come out. And the IMF, the OECD, all of these organizations have said Britain is more susceptible to recession and persistently high inflation than other Western countries, all of which are grappling with energy and commodity market shocks. Now, this is the report they are talking about. Now, it's only just come out. I only found out about it this morning, so I haven't had time to go through it yet because it is absolutely huge. I'm going to print this off. I'm going to go over it overnight. There are 80 pages here, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to the bottom of what exactly is going on here. But I think this is due to the cost of living crisis on the people and the inflation they thought they could control. And now they've realized they can't control it. They created too much new currency. They've expanded this monetary supply too big. And now the inflation has run rampant because of the energy input costs, because of the sanctions, because of everything else. Energy has become more expensive. They did not account for some of these things that have happened. And now it has thrown the country into a crisis. Now, just before we wrap up here, I do want to look at a couple of lines from Sajid Javid, his resignation letter. And remember, he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, so the most senior person in terms of the economy, money, finance for the UK between 2019-2020. He then went to work at, guess where? JP Morgan between 2020 and 2021. And then he came back as Health Secretary between June 2021 and July, because he's just resigned yesterday, of 2022. Now, don't you think it's strange that all of these politicians resigned within 10 minutes of one another? And they're all saying they made this decision independently. Yeah, I don't buy it. I mean, if I was to run this through my calculations and pull up the statistics on this, I'm pretty sure it'd be somewhere like 1,000,000 to 1 that all of these politicians made this decision independently, all at the same time, and resign within 10 minutes of each other. I just don't buy it. Now, the statement that he made in terms of his resignation makes no sense to me. Now, if you understand this, please drop your comments below. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know, because I can't see the connection between these two statements within the same paragraph. Let me read this out. Given the unprecedented scale of the challenges in health and social care, it has been my instinct to continue focusing on this important work. Okay, so he's not going to go back to a bank then, in that case. Let's find out. Same with some of the others. Let's see if they do. Okay, so we've got that statement about healthcare. So it is with enormous regret that I must tell you that I can no longer, in good conscience, continue serving in this government. I am instinctively a team player, but the British people also rightly expect integrity from their government. So what is he saying here? Is there a hidden subliminal kind of message within this? What is he saying about the health and social care and what is actually happening? I mean, I know what's happening behind the scenes. but the general public doesn't know what's happening. He then goes on to say the vote of confidence last month showed that a large number of our colleagues agree. It was a moment for humility, grip and new direction. I regret to say, however, that it is clear to me that this situation will not change under your leadership, and you have therefore lost my confidence too. Again, I don't buy it. If it's all about integrity, why not resign last month? Why have they all jumped ship in the last 2 days? I really do think that in the next, I can't tell you when, days to weeks, we're going to see some reports coming out about the UK economy, which shows that we are now in a recession. And as soon as you speak this into existence and talk about the recession, people start to act upon it. And this is when we're going to see some major negative issues with our economy, as if we haven't had enough issues as it is. This is going to be really bad, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the beginning, and I dread to think what is going to come next. But for today, the UK Parliament, the UK government is in absolute crisis. It is in a state of breakdown as we speak right now. And I'm just going to keep monitoring this overnight to see what actually happens. And by the time this video comes out, Boris Johnson might not even be Prime Minister anymore, but who knows? Maybe he will finally resign, or the others will force him out. But even if that happens, we change leadership, we change parties, the others are no good either. Just look at the criminal investigations going on against other leaders of other parties right now in the UK. Criminal investigations into politicians. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. It is a broken system now. The UK government is in absolute crisis, and I just don't know what's going to happen next. But that is all I've got time for today. I'm going to go back and start reading all this material, keep an eye on it, and read that report. And let's see if I can get something out for you on that report in the coming days. Thank you so much for watching today. Take care. God bless. I will see you tomorrow.